So everybody always trying to blame white people for slavery. What about the Africans who sold us to the Americans and to the British and the Europeans? What about the Africans? Do you want to go to Africa? Hell no, I don't want to go no goddamn Africa. Africans don't like black people. We ain't black and we ain't African. I know we're not African. Well, how many of these African countries came back over here trying to save us? If anybody owes us reparations, it's those African countries who sold us, because the white boy didn't force us to come over here. They bought us.
The U.S. is not obligated to pay out any foreign nations no reparations, because if we want to be technical, Ghana, you had internal responsibility for the slave trade. You are an active participant. 2, you guys don't have no paper proof of how many people was took and who was took. You guys don't have that. You have oral histories, but we have oral histories here, and you guys don't believe our oral histories.
The claim of the Ghana president here in the US for reparations is inept and false.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
So some black Americans are now really going hard on Ghana and Ghana's president, John Dramani Mahama, for trying to claim what they think belongs to them. So according to this group called Foundational Black Americans, they are a community in America. And according to these people, they've tried to have negotiation with the American government to pay them reparations, because they believe that their forefathers came and built America. They were brought in as slaves, so they deserve a compensation. In fact, they've had a conversation, but it hasn't reached its logical conclusion until they saw Ghana's president, John Dramani Mahama, coming into the scene to the UN to make a presentation. And now slave trade has been passed as the gravest sin ever committed. But these people are angry because they think that Ghana is trying to claim what actually belongs to them.
A lot of black Americans slash FBA are angry with Ghana president because he came to the UN yesterday in New York asking for reparation and to recognize slavery as the gravest crime to humanity. He is fighting for all enslaved Africans, but the black Americans slash FBA was angry about it. Like, why did he come to America to demand justice? Because they play the usual in slave trade. They said that Africans sold all of them. They were not kidnapped by the Europeans. They were sold by Africans.
So everybody always trying to blame white people for slavery. What about the Africans who sold us to the Americans and to the British and the Europeans? What about the Africans? Do you want to go to Africa? Hell no, I don't want to go no goddamn Africa. Africans don't like black people. We ain't black and we ain't African. I know we're not African. Well, how many of these African countries came back over here trying to save us? If anybody owes us reparations, it's those African countries who sold us, because the white boy didn't force us to come over here. They bought us. We were purchased. If that's really true, we were purchased. So no, I don't want to go back to Africa, because Africa owes us reparations.
The U.S. is not obligated to pay out any foreign nations no reparations, because if we want to be technical, Ghana, you had internal responsibility for the slave trade. You are an active participant. 2, you guys don't have no paper proof of how many people was took and who was took. You guys don't have that. You have oral histories, but we have oral histories here, and you guys don't believe our oral histories. 3, during this timeline, the slave trade was legal. So if we're gonna hold these people accountable for something that ended 150 years ago, maybe we should go back and hold everyone else responsible. Should we hold Genghis Khan responsible? And then they're framing it as if our ancestors weren't took from Africa, Africa would be a global powerhouse. It would have produced so much wealth. That's not the fucking case. When we were there, you guys took us as prisoners of war. We couldn't even, collaborate or come together as a community when we were there. So no, it would not be the case. And honestly, I feel like the US should only pay for the unpaid labor and the physical abuse. Okay? We worked, our ancestors worked, they did what they had to do, they did their job, blood, sweat, and tears, they built this fucking country. They should be paid. You guys didn't put in any fucking work. You guys are going off of a what if they stayed there, okay? It probably would have been worse than what it is. You guys it probably would have been a genocide. You guys probably would have killed off or something. So a lot of us did die during the slave trade, but like it would be an actual genocide because while we were there, you guys hated us. So what's with these what ifs? Like, you guys are sellouts and praying for a fucking bag. Like,
they are tabling a resolution in the United Nations to declare the transatlantic slave trade the worst atrocity in human history. So Ghana has tabled a motion in the UN where they're saying, declare this the worst atrocity that never happened. And because this happened, you took our people, you prospered, and you were able to build your nation off of my people's labor, not my labor, but the people I sold to you. You owe me reparations because of that talent we lost. So Ghana is admitting to human trafficking and says, yeah, we sold these folks, but you owe us reparations for these folks we sold you because they went through slavery. All right. You're trying to get our people over there so you can replace them with your people and then using my people's struggles. Okay, let's say we did come from you. You didn't go through that. I'm just like, wow, all of y'all need to go and go forever, never return.
The claim of the Ghana president here in the US for reparations is inept and false. Ghana gained its independence from British colonial powers on March 6, 1957. They cannot at all confirm that anybody of the small remnant of slaves that were brought from Africa to America belonged to their people. They are doing this because these are greedy, hungry siphoners who want to take from the Black American community, and they think we're going to sit by idly and allow it to happen. Absolutely not. There is no plausible way for any African country to assert that our people came from them because they were separated by tribalism before colonialism. So they don't know whose tribe these people came from. And these individuals are well aware of it. And they believe themselves that we can't receive anything without their help. We don't want your help and we didn't ask for it. Stop playing yourself.
If we're talking about reparations from the United States, then that's strictly exclusively to Black Americans, ADOS and freemen, the descendants of Black enslaved Americans and the descendants of freemen in this country. Now, Africa was a co-conspirator, especially Ghana. Ghana turned slavery into tourism. They making money off all those slave castles, millions of dollars, right? Let's not talk about that.
In addition to its obvious legal problems, this resolution is also unclear as to who the recipients of reparatory justice would be. The drafters and supporters of this resolution seem to believe it is them. The United States strongly objects to the cynical usage of historical wrongs as a leverage point in an attempt to reallocate modern resources to people and nations who are distantly related to the historical victims. The United States would also like to express disappointment in the arbitrary historical perspective of the text. Trafficking in African slaves began long before the 15th century and sadly continued even after the 19th. These dates were clearly selected for political reasons rather than historical accuracy. All trafficking of enslaved Africans and racialized chattel enslavement of Africans deserve to be condemned, not merely the political expedient. Also, there are some fake news articles suggesting that the sponsors of this resolution called into question President Trump's support of the Black community. We reject any such suggestions. Indeed, President Trump has done more for Black Americans than any other president and enjoyed historic support from the Black community in the 2024 election. He is working tirelessly to deliver for them and make our country greater than ever. Finally, we must express our deep disappointment regarding the process that led to this text. Throughout drafting, the United States and other delegations offer constructive contributions aimed at aligning the text with established international legal frameworks. These contributions were ignored. For these reasons, the United States will vote no on this resolution. Thank you.
Do you disagree with them or do you agree with them? Leave your comment in the comment section. And also, is there any history to what they are saying? If there is, leave it in the comment section. It's a wrap for today.